Hello, adventurers! My name is Chance. Welcome to my Spellbook, and thank you for tuning into the 10th episode of our background series. Today we're going over a relatively interesting background. It's nothing to really write home about, in my opinion, but might lend itself to some interesting scenarios in your particular world. Today we're going to be taking a look at Clan Crafter, which is found in the Sword Coast Adventures Guide, and there's a ton of backgrounds that revolve around clans and crafting in particular, although this one sandwiches itself in there in a strange way in comparison to a lot of the others, and we'll get to that in a little bit here. But before we dive in too far, let's quickly go over its description. The Stout Folk are well known for their artisanship and the worth of their handiworks. You have been trained in that ancient tradition. For years you labored under a dwarf master of the craft, enduring long hours and dismissive, sour-tempered treatment in order to gain the fine skills you possess today. Really cool stuff. So long story short, you spent some time with the dwarves for one reason or another, and as a direct result, you were able to pick up enough of the tricks of their trade to gain some semblance of respect and renown in the dwarven community, which is pretty impressive for an outsider, and I don't think any dwarf would refute that. It does kind of fit in a little bit weird with their feature, however, but we'll get into that in a little bit. Before we do, however, let's talk about their mechanics. So you gain a skill proficiency in history and in insight as well, and you gain one type of artisan tools as your tool proficiency, which is pretty good. It really opens up your horizons. Under language, you gain access to Dwarven and one other of your choice if you already speak Dwarvish. So you really only get one extra language. It defaults to Dwarf, but if you already know Dwarfish, then pick something else. Under equipment, you get a set of artisan's tools, namely the one you're proficient in. You get a Maker's Mark chisel, which will act as a signature of sorts. It basically is used for placing your specific symbol or the specific symbol of your clan in whatever you're working on. You also gain a set of traveler's clothes and a pouch containing a total of 15 GP. It is broken down, so you have 5 GP in terms of actual coins, and then a gem worth 10 GP, although for the vast majority of you that's not going to so much matter, but it totals up to 15 GP in total. Really good stuff. I really like it. It's a relatively simple set of mechanics, which, to be fair, isn't an inherently bad thing. It just doesn't really get my blood boiling as much as some of the others. Now let's move on to its feature, and this is something of a bone of contention with me personally. The feature is called Respect of the Stout Folk, and it reads as followed. As well respected as clan crafters are among outsiders, no one esteems them quite so highly as dwarves do. You always have a free room and board in any place where shield dwarves or gold dwarves dwell, and the individuals in such a settlement might vie among themselves to determine who can offer you, and possibly your compatriots, the finest accommodations and assistance. Overall, it reads very similar to Shelter of the Faithful or a couple of the other features we've covered so far. In case you're wondering what gold dwarves and shield dwarves are, really simply put, gold dwarves are hill dwarves and shield dwarves are mountain dwarves. What this is trying to imply is that you do not have the backing of the Duragar at all, so don't even try it. We have a video about them if you're curious as to why that kind of might be. In any case, most dwarves are going to be rather friendly towards you. The reason I don't really like it is it doesn't really fit in line with the idea of a clan crafter, right? If you wanted the feature to read something to the effect as people are willing to pay a premium for your goods, or your goods can be taken as payment for room and board, or something to that effect, I'd probably be a lot more in favor of this. or maybe it gives you access to a larger clan network, and I suppose you can make an argument for it doing that in some forms or another, but it doesn't expressly say that, so it just, I don't know. It's really the only bone to pick I have with this whole background. Other than that, I think it's really good. But let's move on to its suggested characteristics. Under personality traits, I put, I am full of witty aphorisms and have a proverb for every occasion. Under ideal, people, I am committed to the people I care about, not to ideals, and that puts you in more of just a neutral direction. Under bond, I owe my guild a great debt for forging me into the person I am today. And under flaw, I'll do anything to get my hands on something rare or priceless. Overall, this is just meant to be a wholesome, well-meaning individual. Really just loves the guild and the people who probably raised him to some capacity or another, and dwarves, having tons of stories and proverbs of their own, likely imparted a lot of their oral tradition onto you as well. I think that makes a lot of logical sense and would make for a pretty, at the very least, simple character to play, and you could always kind of leverage that guild or their prospective family, for all intensive purposes, as a way to get them involved in certain narratives, or if there's certain threats that face them, you could really you could play into it like that. However, yeah, outside of that, I can't really think of anything too creative to do with this background. Let me know what you think down beneath, of course. Now let's get over to my personal thoughts on Clan Crafter. My only real bone to pick is with the name and with the feature. I just don't think they go along all that well. That's certainly something that's not exclusive to this background. There are a handful that are like that. This just happens to be the first one in the series, so if you find I'm going a little bit hard on it, that's why. But something worth noting as regard to respect to the Stout Folk, it doesn't expressly say that the assistance that is given to you is opposed to danger, right? So you could hypothetically, I would make the character roll for this, by the way. This wouldn't be a given, but you could, it would be plausible to at least have some form of traveling NPC companion with you, or maybe in terms of more so a guide, I think would make a lot more sense with combat capabilities maybe. And there's always an argument for you going on quests, trying to peddle the goods of your dwarven clan and kind of go out in that direction if you really wanted to. That would make this a little bit better. And as you spread their influence, then places and people that recognize your connection to that clan might be more favorable towards you. That'd be a cool way to kind of make this all around better. Because the sad fact is if you're away from dwarves, this is kind of meaningless. And I guess you could make that argument with a couple other things. However, dwarves, given their innate nature to group together and preserve their own traditions, they're likely to just be in higher concentrations and not very spread out throughout whatever world you're in. However, that of course circles back to, well, what kind of world do you have? Do they act different there? So overall, run it past your DM. If they feel like it'll be underwhelming, sit down, brainstorm ways to kind of compensate for it. But overall, this is a fine background to pick, and I can only imagine it'll serve you fairly well. But in any case, let me know what you think down beneath in the comment section. Mention any thoughts, questions, comments, concerns, ideas, or even experiences of your own if you have any with this particular background. And of course, if you'd like to get your hands on a free one-shot, please do check out the guild hall, links down beneath in the description, and feel free to use code WELCOME on checkout to get one-shot for free. And yeah, that'll be about it today, guys. I do hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you have a great day, and as always, happy adventuring.